Let there be light and welcome to Living Essence. I am Siddhanta Ananda. What's the one thing that you need to reduce your anxiety? What you need is less. It's as simple as that. I administer QFT, which is quantum freedom therapy, with my clients, and it's groundbreaking because it's a new therapy, and it's also profoundly effective in helping people have less. And after a session, people always come through, they open their eyes and they go, wow, I feel so light. And that's because through the session, what we've been doing is cutting away. We've been getting rid of some of the stories that are no longer serving them, getting rid of the thoughts that keep going over and over and over, that are on repeat, that just simply keep playing and tormenting them. We drop all the things that they thought were important to them, and get them back to the space that they know is important for them, which is to be present to themselves. You see, when you're present to yourself, there is nothing you need. There is nothing you want. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. When you're present to yourself, you realize that you simply are the awareness of the story that's unfolding in front of you. When we become identified with our body, our mind, and our story, then what happens is an accumulation. And what we become is simply a storehouse of thoughts, memories, and story. You see, I've had many people say to me when they come in, oh, don't you want to hear my story about? And I say, no, your story is the problem. I can tell if someone identifies too much with what happens in their life, instead of identifying with what they actually are, which is that which is aware of the story, that which is witnessing the unfolding, that which is conscious of thoughts. You see, that's the things that you are. But when you become identified with the thought, the story, the trauma, the memories, when you become identified with that, you become made of those things, and then you simply become an accumulation. And that's what anxiety is. It's an accumulation of too much memory, thought, and story. It's an identification with memory, thought, and story. When you feel you are the story, when you feel your thoughts, when you feel you're the mind, then anxiety comes, because it's like having 1,000 balls to try and juggle at once. When you become identified with the activity of the mind, you're going into a madhouse, because the mind is such a powerful machine and there's so many working parts going all at once. And in the hubris of trying to keep up with what's happening in the mind, you feel overwhelmed, and that is what we call anxiety. You see, anxiety is a result of collecting and identifying too much. We don't need more in our lives. I've had so many clients who have come into my office, and they have everything they need or think they need. They have the house, the husband, the children, the jet skis, the cars, the holiday home, and yet they're a wreck. Because when you look at it, if they're identified with these things, if they can't hold these things lightly, then of course they're going to begin to feel anxiety, because the most primal part of us is about survival. And when you have the responsibility of so many things and you feel identified with them, then of course anxiety is going to happen, because you have 1,000 balls in the air that you're trying to juggle all at once. What I've noticed through doing QFT with my clients is that when I get them to identify with their heart and just come back home, this is what I call coming back home, just come back to the heart and simply witness all the memories, story, and thoughts, then they realize they are not those things. But the trick is that we feel these things, and that's what we identify with. What we truly identify with is what we feel. So I take them into those places that are hurtful, that are hurting, that are causing a trauma, that are causing the anxiety in them. I get them to identify the feeling they have associated with those things. Now, this is the key, because how can you wipe away memories? It's near impossible, but you can change the emotion attached to the memory. That can be done, and it's proven because I do it with QFT every day. With hundreds of clients, I've helped them move past the feeling, the emotion attached to the story, memory, or trauma. And when we remove the feeling, then they no longer feel attached to the story. They no longer feel that the story or the experience is them. They see it for what it is. It was something that simply happened. And then they begin to see life as it is. It's something that's simply happening. You don't have to identify with it. It is completely okay to be the witness of it. And when you're the witness of what's happening and you're not identified with it, you're not taking it on as who you are. Now, we are here to be responsible, but the only way that we can truly be responsible is to respond, not identify. When something happens, we have a choice to respond, the ability to respond. And that's what we call responsible, the ability to respond. Most of us don't have that because we are so identified with the past. When something happens in this moment, someone's abusive to us, then we look in the past, what did I do last time? I ran or I froze. And we will tend to repeat that pattern. And what that does is make us mechanical. See, have you noticed that anxiety is very mechanical? Sometimes people don't even know why they're anxious. Anxiety just kicks in. That's because he's running programs of identification. You're identified with the story. You're identified with the memory. And so the subconscious mind will just kick you into the gear of anxiety because it feels that there's a threat or that you're overwhelmed and you're unable to control these things you're identified with. At the end of the day, what are you? Well, you're simply the consciousness behind the persona. The persona is your mask or the character that you're playing in this great pantomime of life. But you are not the character. You are not the character. You're playing the part, but you're not the part. It's a great game. And we can enjoy all the ups and downs a lot more, which means enjoy just simply means being with it. We can be with it a lot more when we're not carrying the past. So to be present to this moment, it makes sense that you've got to be able to drop the last moment and the moment before and the moment before and the moment before, because you cannot prove the past and we never arrive in the future. And the future, what we think of the future and all the things that we want for the future are our past packaged and sent across this present moment. It misses this present moment and just goes off into the future, but it affects this present moment. You see, when we bring in the past or the future, we are no longer present. And as I've said to so many clients, you are simply presence. That's what you are fundamentally. You're not your thoughts, not your actions, not your memories. You are presence. Think about it. Sit with it for a bit. Come to your heart and realize, in this moment, if I don't bring identification to my thoughts and memories, I just am. And that's the power of less. It's dropping all of that you've collected and you're holding on to as if it's you. Drop it. Let it go. If you find that hard to do, well, QFT is a proven modality that helps people do that. It's not that we completely move the memories away, but we remove the emotion and the charge connected with it. And then those memories are just simply memories. I've had so many clients come out after a QFT session and go, it's almost as if it didn't happen. I can remember it, but it's almost like it's really fuzzy and hard to see. And that's defragging the system and clearing and cleansing the mind, and what they're feeling, the ecstasy they feel, the calm they feel, is the feeling of presence. And that's the key. Presence doesn't have stuff. Presence simply is what it is. I'm sending you all so much light and love.